and welcome to Let's Get Some Answers with your host, Dan Wettstein. That is me. Every week, I'm going to be bringing you a new guest so we can get some of the answers you want to your burning questions throughout the week across the world of sports. And this week with me, I have my guy, Sean J. How you doing, my man? Let the people know who you are, where you're from, and where they can find you.
What up, everybody? My name is Sean Jarrett. I am a former color commentator of college basketball. I also do I own a production company called Sean J Films, and I'm an avid sports fan.
That's awesome to say. Let them know where they can find you at Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff.
You can find me on Twitter at Sean J Media on Twitter, and Instagram is official Sean Jarrett.
Perfect. All right. So, and his Twitter is actually also in the show name. So, if you don't remember from what he just told you, just look at the show name in the title, in the headline is his Twitter. So, make sure you go over, show him some love. And as always, we are here to cover the majority of sports. We won't be getting to hockey today, but we will be getting to baseball, basketball, and football. So, let's go ahead and let's jump in here. First off, it's coming right around the corner. I can't believe it's already here, but Major League Baseball spring training is coming faster than any of us could have expected. So let's go ahead and give them a primer here. First up, who is the best AL and NL squads according to you in 2023 and why?
I have a few of them. This major league season is going to be very good. We got a couple of pitchers leaving their former team and joining new teams, and you got a rookie coming over from Japan that's going to be probably going to set this league on fire since the likes of Ichiro Suzuki.
That's high praise.
That's definitely going to be something to watch for. Masataka Yoshi is the player I was talking about for the Boston Red Sox. He's coming over from playing in Japan, and I think he could set this league on fire. Then we have Jacob deGrom, who left the New York Mets to go to the Texas Rangers, which is going to be something interesting. He got Max Scherzer over there as well. That could be possibly a 1-2 pairing in the league.
Yeah, I definitely agree that Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. I almost said Jacob deGrom at the top of that New York Mets starting rotation. They're definitely older than what the Mets have when they had Thor and deGrom and all of those guys coming up over the last few years. They kind of flipped the script, went from the young guns to the old gunfighters out there in New York. So seeing those things, I really, especially a year after they just won 100+ games and made some noise in the playoffs, adding a dog like a Scherzer and a Verlander, I really think could help elevate that roster into the next tier. So I will have to say that my favorite NL club right now is going to be the New York Mets. I'm right there with you. And then when it comes to the AL, I'm really kind of torn between the Yankees and that ridiculously stacked lineup, but kind of thin starting rotation. And then a team like the Texas Rangers that are an up and coming team that just picked up a Jacob deGrom. They have one of my favorite players in the game, which is John Gray, former Rocky, and you can see we're kind of furry like each other. So that we have that going together. That the way that Texas is building that team, I really think they have a chance. But overall, I think the best roster 1 to 25 is going to be the Toronto Blue Jays. I think that team has a real chance to take the next step.
Yeah, I kind of like that Toronto Blue Jays squad with their hitting, and I think that pitching going to get a little bit better this season as well. They get some of their weapons back from injury, so I really feel that that's going to be a big boost for them.
Yeah, you've already got multiple MVP type candidates. You have the son of one of my favorite players of all time. Again, a Rocky, Dante Bichette, his son, Bo Bichette, sitting out there at shortstop. You got Vladdy Guerrero, who I loved watching his father growing up, and he is he's Vlad Guerrero if Vlad Guerrero ate pizza every single day of his life. Like, I don't understand how Vlad Guerrero made that big of a human with how tiny he is. And his wife is tiny too. So how those two genes came together and created Vladdy Jr., I don't know, but I don't care because he's an absolute monster when it comes to mashing. Go ahead.
And I have a funny story. I got to actually see Vladdy Jr. and Bo Bichette at when I was working for the South Bend Cubs. They are some big boys. So definitely, they definitely gonna be some interesting players.
Yeah, and what's funny is like it's kind of funny the way this goes is Dante Bichette is a huge human, but makes a small human. Vladdy Guerrero, average-sized male, makes a monster. Like, how those two gene pools created what they did is funny to me because, like I said, Dante Bichette he's a mountain of a man. He's always been huge, and never was a PED guy. Like, he actually retired because of the guys taking PEDs when he was playing. But then he creates Bo Bichette, who's still pretty big for a shortstop, but compared to his dad, he's about half the size. And then you go to Vladimir and his son, and it's the complete opposite. The dad's half the size as the son. That's just always been funny to me when it comes to those guys. And what is it with Toronto and old potential Hall of Famers or really good players and their sons? Because they had Kevin Biggio, Craig Biggio's son. They got Vladdy Guerrero Jr., Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s son, Bo Bichette, Dante Bichette's son, and at one point they had Roger Clemens' son before he had that accident. So it seemed like unless you had the last name of an ex-MLB player, you weren't playing for Toronto. And to see them grow was absolutely awesome.
That team still has a nice stack to it, with the players you just named. Is awesome, and then Vlad Guerrero Jr. Set the MLB on fire last season with the home runs he had.
I got you. Yes, 100% agree. So I think we can both agree on the AL squads. Looks like we have the teams we're looking at. It seems to really be like the teams to watch are going to be the Mets, the Blue Jays. Obviously East Coast. They have a bias. There's a bias for a reason. I hate perpetuating that bias, but unfortunately this year in the MLB, that's what it is. But you had mentioned earlier, one of the rookies you wanted to watch was Masataka Yoshida, the outfielder for the Boston Red Sox.
Yes.
You also said, and I'm going to hold your feet to the fire on this, you said that he could have the impact of an Ichiro Suzuki, who was, for those of you that don't remember, the huge fish that came over to Seattle. And in his rookie year, not only did he win the Rookie of the Year, but he also won a Gold Glove and the MVP. So this is the type of guy that Sean is comparing Masataka to. So what do you see in Masataka that reminds you of Ichiro?
He's a complete player right now. He can hit left, he can hit center, he can also hit right field. And he also playing in that big green monster out there. He can ding him a couple off of there and get a couple of doubles off of there. So I think he's really a complete player.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree. From the tape that I've seen, he is potentially a 5-tool player. I think that he is a shades of Ichiro, but with more power and less contact. Like, I do believe he will make an impact, but I think it's going to be more along the lines of, I don't know if you remember Godzilla from the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
Hideki Matsui. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think he could have more of an impact along that line than an Ichiro. Just from the standpoint of the extra power, he has that. He doesn't show it as much as I think he could, which is a lot like Ichiro. Something that people don't realize with Ichiro is Ichiro could hit home runs whenever he wanted to, but he was more worried about the team than his personal stats. So he hit at the top of the lineup. So he was more worried about getting on base and stealing bases than he was hitting home runs. But Ichiro in batting practice was insane. He'd hit 500-yard or 500-foot bombs in practice whenever he wanted to. He just wind up and rack it. So, but I think this kid's going to really tap into that power potential, like you said, with the Green Monster. I see him doing like a Ted Williams and just peppering that Green Monster and maybe even hiring up that batting average higher than even I think it might be. So
I totally agree with you on that. And I feel that, you know, there's a lot of potential in that squad right now out in Boston.
I agree.
And having a person like that, even if they put him at the 9 hole or they put him at the 1, he's going to play has a major impact in sort of ways.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree on that. The AL East, as much as I hate to admit it again, because I hate perpetuating that East Coast bias, because I am a Midwesterner. I wear that patch with pride. I am a native Coloradan, so this is where I've been my whole life. I hate the fact that we're completely ignored, but got to give credit where credit is due. And with the stacked rosters, we've already talked about Toronto. We briefly mentioned New York. We just got done talking about Boston. Baltimore did some things last year that I think took everybody by surprise. And Adley Rutschman might be the second coming of, oh man, I forgot his name. The catcher out in San Francisco, the great catcher. Oh my goodness. Why am I? Buster Posey. There we go.
Posey.
Sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
Adley Rutschman might be the second
I was trying to
coming
get you there, dog. I was trying to get you there.
I appreciate you. Yes, I got there. But Buster Posey, I think he
I think your mic went out.
Yep. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, I think my computer just turned off my microphone. So sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure where I left off, but yes, just real quick to recap, Adley Rutschman could be the second coming of Buster Posey. And we still haven't talked about the Rays, that even though they don't do anything quote unquote sexy in the offseason, they're always there. You're okay, my guy. It happens.
No, I was talking to somebody else.
I got you.
Yeah, but I feel like I totally agree with you on that, and that team, and then the Tampa Bay Devil Rays will be probably a team that can sneak up on a couple of teams, and now just because of
they always do. They just always do.
That like you said, the Baltimore Orioles did sneak up on a few teams that they wasn't like. They had went on a streak where they went on a winning streak and for like 11 games, I believe, last season. So that's one of them that could possibly be a big if they could counteract that momentum and use it this season. I think it would be a big thing.
Yes, agreed. And you are 100% correct. Their longest, their longest winning streak. Wow, I don't know where all that came from. Anyways, their longest winning streak was 10 games last season. So you're 100% correct on that. So yes, the AL East absolutely stacked. Looks like it's going to be pretty much just a dogfight just to get out of that division. But those are some storylines. What is the best storyline you see for 2023 in the MLB?
I gotta go a little home cooking, and that's the Chicago Cubs. The pickup of Justin Turner and Debbie Swanson, a former infield outfielder for the Atlanta Braves, and Justin Turner comes over from the World Series champion Dodgers a couple years ago. So they have veteran experience. Both of them won championships, and it can help that team out. Who won a championship in 2016 to get back to that point.
Yeah. I never thought, especially as a Rockies fan, like I am so happy to see him out of our division. But Justin Turner being something other than a Dodger is so weird to me. Like that is just so weird. He's always been that Dodger. It'd be like when Todd Helton was almost traded from the Rockies. It like kind of feels like that, but he actually left. Like that, and he's always been a Rockies killer. even as he's gotten up in age, his numbers against the Rockies, especially in Coors Field, are insane. Like, if he could take what he does against the Rockies and do it against every team, he'd probably be the best player to ever play the game. Like, it's stupid what he does against the Rockies. So to know that he's not in the division anymore, absolutely wonderful. I hope whatever he does for y'all, it is what it is. As long as he's not doing it against the Rockies anymore, I'm happy. But do you really believe he has enough left in the tank to really make a difference? Like Dansby, I believe he will do something. He's young, shortstop, good defender, hits for power, all that. But Justin Turner is pushing 40. Do you still think he has enough left in the tank?
I feel that he can be a viable bat in that offense, and leadership, to take control of leadership in that locker room. After they had Jason Haywood and locker room as well, but that veteran leadership to show the younger players how it works in the MLB, in the major on the show point of view. I feel that it's a big role for him to take over.
I can completely agree with you. I think he is a perfect veteran for that role. If you all signed him with just that in mind, I think y'all got a heck of a deal, because from all accounts, Justin Turner has always been a great clubhouse presence. He's always been that consummate professional. So him being able to come in, maybe because y'all are supposed to have been rebuilding. Like I think y'all forgot about that last year when y'all started making some of the moves that happened in the offseason, bringing in some of the guys y'all did. And then again, this season, like you said, bringing in Dansby Swanson, Justin Turner. It doesn't really feel like the Cubs want to go for the full rebuild. Like they're not willing to really get in it the way that the Astros did, the way that they turned around their franchise, just tanking and being absolutely terrible for about 3 or 4 years and then stacking up all those top 5 picks. So, but there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say, you know what I'm saying? So not everybody has to follow the mantra of the Astros or the Rays or whatever. There's more than one way to build a team. So it's interesting to watch what's going on in there in Chicago. So yes, I do agree that storyline should be something everybody's watching. Look, let's see if maybe they can pull what the Orioles did last year and just come out of nowhere, like we were just talking about, and all of a sudden just start winning games and take people by surprise. And I think they'll get a lot of those. I think a lot of people are going to overlook this Cubs team, especially because of that inexperience in the starting rotation. Like they got a lot of guys out there in the field that can, have veteran savvy, things of that nature. They got a pretty young pitching staff. So it's going to be really about them gelling, I think, and then that bullpen coming through as well. So as long as those things come, I think it could be a fun watch there in Chicago. So I like that storyline. For me, I want to watch and see that Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout get to the playoffs and win a game, like just a game. Like I feel so bad for these guys that they have toiled away with Art Moreno and all those guys over there in Los Angeles with the Angels. So as long as their starting rotation gets it together outside of Ohtani, I think they got a chance, but it's going to be interesting to see whether or not they actually get what they deserve.
Yeah, I kind of like that squad out with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Couldn't say that 5 times fast, but
right.
I did it. But I like that squad out there, and I think Ohtani will be a big piece in that offense. Also, Mike Trout, who came back after being injured last season, he will play a big role and hopefully pick up his numbers. And it's just like you said, that 4, 5, 6 role. What role will they have behind Trout, and then the backup pitching? The bullpen is a key role too as well, because that bullpen kind of blew a few games last season as well.
That's being very kind of you. Yes, 100% agree. Bullpen has to coalesce. So those are some really good storylines. We hope y'all are watch along with us. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and let's move from baseball and fun storylines to basketball, and one that's a bit more controversial, we'll say, just to keep it nice. NBA trade deadline's coming up tomorrow. So we're going to go ahead and jump on that train. give you a little primer, see how we view, and starting off with, again, obviously the biggest and most controversial storyline going on in the NBA right now. Kyrie Irving demanded a trade, got traded to Dallas, is now with Luka. What are your thoughts?
I love this matchup with him and Luka Doncic. I feel that they will pair pretty well. Also, they also got Marquise Morris as well in that trade. But on the other end of the spectrum, I love that Dorian Finney-Smith went over to the Brooklyn Nets and can be a probably defensive stopper for them. And to compare him with KD as well, he can probably be a team. That team could be probably a problem later on in a couple of years, maybe, but not this year. But they could be if they say keep your pieces in order. And KD, that's not. And also, I think they're gonna actually go get one more piece to add to that connection.
Right. So do you think that Kyrie's going to stay on his P's and Q's, or do you think this could blow up before the end of the season?
I think he's going to be on his PDQ. I think him and Mark Cuban is known for taking good care of his players and make sure that they are being taken care of financially or anything like that. So I think he will be on his P's and Q's, and I think he will get a new contract.
Yeah, I will say this is the only thing I'm going to really say on this because I'll leave my fire for later tonight. Kyrie Irving will stay on his P's and Q's simply because he wants a new contract. Now, so that means this year, good. Next year, that's going to be interesting. So we have a question here from Bossman. Dan says, are you concerned they both like to handle the ball, though? Talking about Luka and Kyrie.
Me, no, I'm not worried about it. Yes, they both are ball dominant point guards. But here's the point. Luka we've seen him with Spencer Dinwiddie be able to facilitate for him, and then Spencer Dinwiddie, who went back to Brooklyn, be able to set up Luka Doncic in certain situations where he can get the ball and get wide open shots. So it depends on what type of system they're running, and I'm sure that Shaquille will figure that out once he have both of them on the court together. But I don't think Luka's going to play tonight. But I know that Kyrie's supposed to debut tonight on ESPN.
Yes, he's going to debut tonight on ESPN. So if y'all want to see what the Kyrie experiment in Dallas is, go ahead and tune into that. And let's go ahead and move on to, do you believe that there's any other big moves that we should be looking at that will happen in the next 24 hours?
Well, there is a move possibly in process right now, and that's between the LA Lakers, the Utah Jazz, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Russell Westbrook could be heading off to Utah, and D'Lo could be heading back to the Los Angeles Lakers, and there's a couple of other players that might be on the move as well in that deal. So that's a major move. And then we have not seen nothing from the Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors haven't yet to move Trent. I can't think of his name right now, but
Gary Trent Jr.
Yeah, Gary Trent Jr. I hate when a brain freeze like that, but Gary Trent
all
Jr.
Right, man.
And I think they're gonna move him in OG Anunoby. I think I said his name wrong, but
I think you're pretty close. OG Anunoby.
Yeah,
I think you're pretty close.
OG Anunoby. Yeah, I think I said his name wrong, but okay. I have problem torturing people's name, but and
it's all good.
We talked about it in the pre-show, but
yes, we did. All good, brother. All good. It happens to the best of us.
But I think that they have yet to make a move. A team like the Charlotte Hornets, who might be sellers as well, could be on making a couple of moves, and that Miami Heat team. They might be looking to move Duncan Robinson.
Well, we appreciate the heads up, Garrett Jacoby. And I'm glad that we're live. So, hey, I guess if that's working, that's all that matters to me. We appreciate there's been something weird. I don't know if anybody else has noticed here. A lot of social media has went down today. YouTube's had an issue. Twitter's went down, Instagram and Facebook. So seems like something weird's going on. But hey, as long as you can see us, That's all we care about right now. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
So I do agree with you. I think Utah is the major team to watch. I think they are the ones most likely to have a fire sale. They are, I know they're trying to hang on and do something this year for some reason, even though they got rid of like everybody that matters with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell and all that getting sent out of town. So I think they just need to strip it down, rebuild, take that lottery pick that they should get this year, just tank the rest of the second half of the season and just let it ride. Get as many first rounders and second rounders and whatever else you can from other teams for all the parts that matter on your team, and then run it back next year and see what happens. So yes, I agree 100%. Utah team to watch, all kinds of moves could be made.
But here's another team that you might want to keep an eye out: that Phoenix Sun, and that Jamal Crowder, Jeremy Crowder. He could be on the move as well, because he's been very unhappy in Phoenix, and has not played all season. So they could be trying to look to move him. And I feel that the Lakers missed out on the opportunity getting Kyrie Irving, but the Clippers also was in the running to get him. And Nicholas Powell for the Clippers could be another person that could be on the trading block if we could be watching out for.
Right, I agree. And one player that hasn't been mentioned by us yet, and probably surprising by some people considering what's behind me, and that is Bones Highland. There's been a lot of talk in Denver about him being moved. I think that him being moved might be the most under the radar move that could help two franchises at the same time. I do believe the Nuggets want something in return. There's been some talk that they might send him off just to recoup some draft picks, but this front office isn't worried about draft picks. Like, no matter where they draft, they find gems. It doesn't, like, you look at Bol, everybody's talking about Bol in Orlando. Guess who drafted him in the second round? The Nuggets. I mean, the boy from Portland, Grant, whatever his name is.
Jeremy Grant.
Jeremy Grant. There you go. Everybody's talking about him. Guess where he was drafted? I mean, we could go down this list for a while. So I don't really think that they're looking for picks in return, but I could see them looking for a new scoring option, because that's really all they need. Off the bench, I should be specific. Scoring option off the bench. Their starters are ridiculous. I mean, we just saw them drop almost 150 on the Minnesota Timberwolves last night without Jamal Murray. With no Murray, no Blue Arrow, they still dropped 150 almost. So they don't need any starters to score, but they definitely need some scorers off the bench, especially if they're going to get rid of their best one in Bones Highland. So I could see him going any number of places, but it's going to be for somebody that comes back that can score, that can create off the bench and play defense, because that's really the only bugaboo on Bones Highland. He needs to play defense.
And I like where you went right there, and I already got a place for him. I can see him ending up in Toronto for Gary Trent Jr.
I like that. I've heard that a lot. Him and the backup center for Minnesota. What's his name? Jairi.
Okay.
What's his name? Yeah, but yeah, the backup center for the Timberwolves, whatever his name is. That's been the two major names, and I really wouldn't be mad at either, but I'd prefer Gary Trent because he's much more of a scorer off the bench, and we already got DeAndre Jordan. We don't really need a backup center. So
right. And another place I could see a 3-team trade there too. The Knicks being a factor in that, maybe if they're willing to part with RJ Barrett.
I wouldn't be mad at that either.
Then that could be a possible thing, and they trade OG Barbanobi and for Gary Trent. Gary Trent goes to the Nuggets. RJ Barrett goes to the Raptors, and then they trade draft picks.
Some draft capital.
Yeah.
Hey, I would be happy with that trade. I would not be angry at all at Charles Booth on what if he pulled the trigger on that trade. I would be absolutely ecstatic. I think that trade would that would to me be a lock for the NBA Finals if the Nuggets were able to pull off that trade right there. I like where your head's at. So moving on from the deadline to what's the next really big date on the NBA calendar, which is the All-Star game coming up here in a couple of weeks. Wanted to start off with probably the more controversial of the questions. Who was the biggest snub to you?
James Harden.
Not a
Shadow
bad
of a
pick.
doubt. He's been playing well for the Philadelphia 76ers. And I feel that he should have been in the All-Star game. Also, there's a few. Russell Westbrook, I'm not sure if he's going to play in All-Star weekend or not, but I think he should have been there as well because he's been a dominant six man for the Lakers. Even though he's been unhappy in that system right now, I feel that he still deserves to be there at All-Star weekend.
Well, when you got the best player on your team constantly bidding for them to get rid of you, I don't think you'd be too happy either. Poor Russ, man. For how professional he has been, how he's kept his mouth shut and been completely antithesis to the Russell Westbrook we've known for the majority of his career. I give him all the props in the world for not coming out and just blasting LeBron, for the way he talks about how he just essentially just wants him gone. I don't know what the issue is between the two guys, whether it's the two alpha males, button heads, whatever the case may be. Russ deserves a lot of respect for what he's done for the Lakers this year. The Lakers would be so much worse. I know that's hard to think about with how bad that they've been this year, but they would be so much worse if it was not for Russell Westbrook. People need to give him his respect.
Definitely.
So I like those, but my biggest snub, you can call me a homer if you want to, but Aaron freaking Gordon. Aaron Gordon needs some respect. The poor man's been robbed of multiple dunk championships. Let the man in his best season of his career to date. The man is going absolutely bonkers this year with Murray and Jokic. Give the man some respect, especially with all these guys that are dropping out like flies. Zion Williamson's out, etc. Give the man some respect and at least make him a reserve. Like, you could even make him a reserve, maybe not a starter, but at least a reserve. That was my biggest snub.
I gotta agree with you on Aaron Gordon because he has one of my pick of dunk of the year dunks,
bro. Yes.
And so definitely, I agree with you on that. He deserves to be there as well.
Snatch boy's soul in overtime. Sorry, had to say
it. There's so many memes behind that dunk.
Yes.
That is ridiculous.
It really is one of the best.
I even seen like the one with Kevin Hart. No, he wasn't ready. No.
Yes, that's a good one. I love it. That's a great one. Yeah, or the one where it's the still photo and shows the dude fall back.
He effed up.
Exactly. Or this is the moment his soul left his body. Those three are my top. Those are my top three right there. I'm right with you. But so going on from biggest snub, who is your the best first time selection this season?
I really don't have one. I really don't.
Really? Yeah. I'm gonna go with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I really like that kid at OKC.
I really like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but I knew he was going to get that regardless. That's why I said he's not a first time. He should have been there a couple of years ago.
Yes,
because he's been balling out since he got into the league. So yes. I just feel like he should have been there already.
Right. That's why I say it's my best, because he finally is getting, unlike what we were just talking about with Aaron Gordon, who's been in the league a lot longer, that still ain't got no respect. But at least the kid early in his career got his respect, earned it. And I mean, honestly, I don't see how they could have denied the kid with the way that he's played this year. He's been absolutely lights out. So moving on from this, we don't have too much to say there. Who has the better roster, Team LeBron or Team Giannis?
Come to me back on that one. I think I'm going to say Team Giannis, and that's because I'm in the Eastern Conference. No offense, but I think Giannis, just because of the way Giannis is playing, I think he has Jason Tatum on that squad as well. Kevin Durant, I believe. and I think he has Zach Levine as well. And so I don't quote me on that, but I believe that's who's on that roster.
Yeah. Oh no, that's the wrong one. I was trying to pull up the rosters here. Bear with me. So I give you the exact people. Team Giannis. Team. All right. So starters in the Eastern Conference are Giannis, Kyrie, which is funny because he's now in the Western. Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Durant, and Jason Tatum. Western Conference is Nikola Jokic, Stephen Curry, Luka Doncic, and Zion. Well, whoever replaces Zion Williamson because he was just
Curry's hurt
announced.
too. Curry's hurt too now. He's
Yeah,
gonna
and
be out
Curry's.
for a
Yep,
month.
that is true. So they're going to be
So
two replacements there. Um, I right now I kind of have to give it to Team Giannis just simply because we don't know who's going to replace Steph and Zion. If Steph and Zion were still playing, I would go Team LeBron because they have the best player in the league. Again, call me a homer if you want to, but Nikola Jokic is an absolute monster. There's no compare. It's Jokic and everybody else. I don't care. Next, they have LeBron James, potentially greatest player of all time. Then you have the greatest shooter of all time, Steph Curry. Luka Doncic, one of the better shot creators and scorers in the league and possibly ever. And then Zion Williamson, who's just an absolute freak. So if those two guys were still playing, I'd have to go with the Western Conference, not just as a homer, just because it's just stupid athleticism, but because I don't know who's going to replace those guys. I'm with you. I think I got to go with Team Giannis, with Giannis, Kyrie, Donovan, Kevin, and Jason. And I also want to really know is like, does Kyrie stay? Like, does he end up replacing Steph on the Western Conference because he's now Western? That's a really interesting question for me. And I don't think anybody's answered that.
I really think that's what's going to happen. And then you got to give it to Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell has been balling lately.
Agreed.
So Donovan Mitchell has been playing pretty well. You got Jason Tatum who's been playing well, but without no Kevin Durant on that roster, who would be that third man between Giannis and Tatum? Will it be Donovan Mitchell who be that third man, and who else will be on that squad that will maybe step up and give points?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's going to take a full effort, especially if the Western Conference is able to find some comparable replacements. Obviously, you can't replace Steph Curry or Zion Williamson. They are one of a kind players, but as long as they're able to find somebody, like I said, like if Kyrie flips over and moves over to the Western Conference and takes Steph Curry's place, something of that nature happens, then I think the tables could turn. But as it stands right now, it's looking like Team Giannis definitely has the upper hand. So
Yeah.
that's all we got for basketball, y'all. Let's move on over to the big game, that thing that's happening on Sunday. I think y'all have heard about it just a little bit, just a little bit. It's called the Super Bowl, I think is what it's called. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that thing that's happening this Sunday, Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles, coming in for a titular battle of number one seeds, the number one AFC offense versus the number one NFC offense, the number one defense in the NFC versus one of the worst defenses in the AFC. Should be an interesting bout. Will this be the shootout everyone thinks it is?
This game is going to be awesome. I have it. Spoiler alert, I have a close game for the Super Bowl. And I'm not going to reveal the numbers just yet. But it's going to come down to which quarterback has the ball at the last possession.
I agree. Yeah, I do believe. I don't think it's going to be quite the shootout people think it's going to be, simply because of the health of the quarterbacks. Like even Patrick Mahomes came out today and said, I know I won't be 100%. If an NFL player comes out and says, I know I won't be 100%, it means they're going to be nowhere close to 100%. That's my biggest worry, especially with the pass rush that Philadelphia has. They can just bring four guys. They don't have to blitz. They can bring four guys and drop seven in coverage on every single play, and they have two of the best cover corners in the game, two of the better safeties. Their linebacker core is fast, and their front four, Ndamukong Suh, Fletcher Cox, Hassan Reddick, these guys are insane. and they are hungry and they are fast and they are wanting to eat Patrick Mahomes for dinner. I am scared that they are going to break him and then we're going to end up with an ugly game. As long as Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts last the entire game, it's going to be close. It's going to come down to the very last score, but I don't think it's going to be like the 45-40, like ridiculous shootout people think it's going to be because of these two defenses and especially the Philadelphia defense. I do not see Philly allowing the Chiefs to score more than I'd say at max 20 points. As much as I love Patrick Mahomes and as much as I love Travis Kelce, that Philly defense mixed in with the way that their offense can keep the other team off the field with how they run the ball, this could be ugly, but I do see it being close. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. Like you're saying, I'm not going to give the exact numbers yet, but it's not going to be the shootout I think that everybody's looking for.
And I think it's going to come down to that first hit for Patrick Mahomes. And when he gets rolled on that ankle, I think it's going to, and he feels that I could do this. So, because we've seen Patrick Mahomes play on that ankle and he sprained it and did almost literally beat him one man in a butt kicking contest. But,
right.
And I think it's going to be the same way for Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, that shoulder's going to have to take a hit for one of the Kansas City's O-line swatting down at the ball to see if he can throw that ball really. And I'm taking contact to that shoulder. I think it's going to come down to that. But as you mentioned, Darius Slay on the other side for the Philadelphia Eagles is going to play a major role in locking down Badell Scanlon. And then also you got to factor in that they was down without three of their receivers who went down in that championship game. So it goes out back to the fact if they have their full roster. What does AJ Brown does in this game, and Darius Smith, I believe I said his name right, or I might say his name wrong, but Smith for the other side, what would he do against that beat up Kansas City offensive secondary?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's going to really come down to, like you said, AJ Brown winning his matchups on the outside. The Kansas City Chiefs did get some good news today. They got L'Jarius Sneed back. He passed through the concussion protocols, so they get their best cornerback back, which is going to be huge going up against a guy like AJ Brown. But we can't forget about Devonta Smith. We can't forget about Dallas Goedert. The weapons on the Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell. That roster is stupidly stacked. I don't think there can be really a question of who has the better roster. From 1 to 53, it's the Eagles, hands down. Howie Roseman has done an absolutely insane job stacking that roster 1 to 53. The Chiefs, they're much thinner, but that's because they have a $500 million quarterback, and that's where the big differences come from. And if both quarterbacks were perfectly healthy, I'd be leaning a lot more towards the Chiefs because as much as I love Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes is head and shoulders above what Jalen Hurts is right now. He just is a better quarterback. And that always makes the biggest difference, especially on the biggest stages like the Super Bowl. So normally I would just be leaning to the Chiefs simply because of Patrick Mahomes, but that Baki ankle, the fact that he was willing to come out and say he's not going to be 100% tells me that he is hurting. And I don't care about cortisone shots. Like people always talk, they'll just get a shot and they won't feel it. Yeah, you don't feel the pain, but your body still, yeah. But even afterwards. When it's not, yeah, afterwards. And then even during, like your body's still screaming, there's something wrong. Like stop doing this. And it doesn't react the way that you want it to. So all of those things are going to be key. Like you said, it's going to be that first hit, that first time that Hassan Reddick comes around that corner and blasts Patrick Mahomes, or Chris Jones comes around the corner and blasts Jalen Hurts. That's where we're going to get the medal test. Until that happens, it should be a really fun game. It's probably going to be high flying. You're going to see a lot of big chunk gains, especially for the Eagles, because that secondary for the Chiefs, their rookies have played really well up to this point, but they've also never been on this stage. They never even went to a national championship in college. So they do not know what these bright lights are going to look like. And they haven't had to do it against the likes of Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, and company. So it could get ugly, but I have a feeling that just because of the way things work and the way that Andy Reid coaches, it's going to be close. But I don't know. There's something about this Eagles squad. It's just kind of getting to me. Not quite giving you my picks yet, but it's really kind of getting there for me. How about you?
Yeah, I really feel that this game is going to be a very close one. But here's the factor: if the Kansas City are able to get in that backfield and kind of disrupt that run game, is going to play a big role. And on the other side of the thing, it is about the protection of Patrick Mahomes and stopping that rush off the edge. It's going to be a big play for them stopping there, and then keeping Dominic Kasu in control, double teaming him at the point of attack is going to be also a big factor in. So you got to look at it from different angles of this game, and not depend on that secondary, because they're going to try to come out the gate running with Pachuco for Kansas City, and trying to get different looks for them to get push off the edge, maybe get some slant routes across the middle, or who knows, they may even try to go in and around to try to just to break that defense out of their comfort zone.
I agree. Andy Reid is a master, especially when you give him a bye week, like both teams had over the last week. If you give him an extra week to prepare, he is going to bring things that you have not seen before. Even though the man's been coaching for 50 years, it seems, he always seems to come up with something new. You give him enough time, that man's mind will come up with something new, something crazy, and it'll completely catch you off guard. So I 100% agree with you. Seeing how Andy Reid works, seeing how Nick Sirianni works on the sidelines, those are going to be two big storylines. My biggest storyline is going to be Hassan Reddick, the man that who led the league in sack fumbles this year, going up against Patrick Mahomes, who is notoriously one of the safest quarterbacks, despite the crazy stuff he does and somehow gets away with it. But he's one of the safest quarterbacks when it comes to giving up the ball. So seeing whether or not Hassan Reddick is able to get in there and his partners, that pass rush of the Eagles, to see if they can get to Patrick Mahomes, I think are the biggest ones. And I'm going to go ahead and just throw in my predictions now. And I do believe that they will. I do believe that the Eagles do come out with their second overall championship. And also, I mean, it's not in me to root for the Chiefs. So even if I believed the Chiefs were going to win, I probably wouldn't pick them, because I am a Broncos fan, and I do the hatred does run that deep. And you even heard it from Sean Payton, who already picked the Eagles simply because he cannot root for the Chiefs anymore, because he's now the head coach of the Denver Broncos. I absolutely love that, by the way, Coach. Way to come in and win the hearts of Broncos country. That was a brilliant move by Sean Payton right there on national television. So I'm going to go with our coach. I'm going to go ahead and Broncos country. Let's ride with the coach. I know y'all are probably tired of hearing that, but hey, let's start the ride over. I'm going with the Eagles. I believe they win 28-25.
Sorry, not sorry, but I picked the Eagles to win this, but I just got a feeling experience with Andy Reid is going to prevail, and I'm going to go Chiefs to win this one, and I'm going to go.
Well, that is all we had time for. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'm going to go 36.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. Go
36-26.
36-20. Okay, I'm mad, but I'm not mad. I understand. No, I'm just kidding. For real. I completely get where you're coming from. I can understand it. But like I said, even if I did wholeheartedly believe the Chiefs were going to win, I would not say it in public. So that's where we stand. I believe the Eagles. Sean's got the Chiefs. We will find out this Sunday. It's been an absolute blast, my man. I think this is a perfect place for us to go ahead and end this up. I appreciate you coming on here, man. I had a great time. Something else I want to tell people is this is a small world. This is another Ohio Media School alum right here next to me. We
Not
didn't
Ohio,
meet through there.
Chicago.
Well, yeah, you
Chicago.
went to Illinois, but the overall umbrella is
Yeah.
Ohio Media School. I
Okay,
went to
yeah.
Colorado. Yeah, I went to Colorado Media School, but the umbrella is Ohio Media School. That's where I was
Oh,
getting at. But yes,
wow.
yes,
I didn't
yes.
know that.
Yep, yep. They also have Miami, which is the Miami Media School. Then they have where you went, Chicago Media School. They have the Ohio Media School, Colorado Media School here in Denver, and one or two others somewhere around here. But yeah, so
Somewhere
yeah,
around the
it's all
world.
the same place. Yeah, it's all over the place. But yes, we are alums for the same place. That was completely by chance. Dan brought him in for me, like he always does. So again, appreciate you, Dan. I'm not talking to myself. I am talking to this guy. Just so y'all know, I'm not talking to myself. His name is Dan too. So we appreciate you giving us this platform, my guy. Appreciate you giving me this show and bringing me my guest. Again, Sean, thank you for being my guest. You were great, man. We hope to see you again around again soon.
Anytime we could do this again.
All right, man. Sounds like a plan. I will definitely be keeping in touch. You keep in touch. You have a great one. For everybody that's watching, make sure you go ahead and give Let's Talk Sports some love. Go to their YouTube and their Twitter. Their links are in the bio. So are all of mine. The answer is 42. My Twitter's right here @_ the answer is 42. All other links are down in the description. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit the bell notification so you get notified every time we upload a new video. Again, we appreciate you. We love you. For Let's Talk Sports, I am Dan Wettstein. That's my guest, Sean. Y'all have a great day now.